the link.
Okay.
What's up, guys? Well, welcome back. Fade you, ForeIdiots. Got some special guests today. Mr. WNBA himself, Jeffrey Buffum, and the one and only Chaz McLongball, member of ForeIdiots. How we doing, boys?
Fantastic.
Doing good.
Nice. Excited. Week 0, college football. We're back. Fade you will have our ForeIdiots college football show on Saturday mornings for the most part moving forward. NFL shows will start the week of the Kansas City Baltimore opener. We're ready to get things into full steam ahead here. Ready for some winners. So Chaz, what have you been up to, man? No football last couple months. College basketball ended in April. The boys don't do MLB. What's new with you? Anything good going on?
Dude, I've just been in hibernation waiting on football. I do it every year. I just stare at the wall until the paint's nice and dry and just wait for football to come back. It's purgatory all summer.
That's it, man. I hear you. It's after NCAA Final Four of college basketball, it's like that big lull in sports for us.
I just can't brave it like Buff over there. I have no WNBA insight.
Yep. Well, thank God, Mr. Buffy himself. What are you, Buff? What's this? What's this? 20, 25 games over 500 in the WNBA, bud?
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere around 22 or 23 to be 100% accurate. But yeah, this is like my first year that I've actually posted plays. Last year, I kind of dove in a little bit on my own just to see how I was doing. And I didn't do near as good last year, but I learned some stuff. I learned about, back-to-backs. I learned about, some teams that play better at home compared to on the road. I just wrote down a bunch of notes throughout the year last year. And this year, I just started to dive into it. And yeah, it's been really good. Really good.
Do you wear your Caitlin Clark jersey when you watch?
I wear it only when she's on TV. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. In fact, me and my wife are going down to DC the last weekend in September. We're going to DC to watch her play against Washington.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm a big Caitlin Clark fan. She's so good for the game of basketball. She's so fun to watch. She plays fast. She shoots threes. She sees the court so well with her passes. I mean, I'm not a big fan of girls basketball. I don't sit down and watch it, but I definitely watch Caitlin Clark in Indiana.
Nice.
Let's I just want to bring up one more thing. Last weekend, had a great weekend in Swampscott, Massachusetts. If you haven't ever been there, highly recommend you go. Nice little fun town. Had a nice little meal with Joey Cheese at night, right on the water. Got together with the boys and played a little bit of golf. And my wife got the chance to meet Joey Cheese for the first time, and she's actually her life changed dramatically after that day. So yeah,
most people are a fan of the cheese.
Yeah. But we had a great time, and I just want to say thanks to Cheese for inviting us down. We had a great weekend.
Yeah, of course, man. Didn't want to wish away summertime, here in Massachusetts. It's beach season for us, no sports, but ready to jump back into college football, man. So let's get at it. I want to talk a little bit about the rearrangement of some of the conferences. Obviously, like we know, Kalen DeBoer went from Washington, jumped shipped over to Alabama with Saban retiring. But, we got a couple big moves in the Big Ten with UCLA, USC, Washington, and Oregon making the move. Just like in the SEC, they've now added Texas and Oklahoma. I just want your guys' opinions on how you think that changes the landscape of college football. Chase, let's start with you, man. What do you think?
I wonder what this does for like a playoff setting. So, I've been called an SEC hater for a long time because I always made the assertion, especially when they had two sides to it. Alabama never played Georgia until the SEC championship game. A lot of the big teams didn't play one another, but they were given credit for playing an SEC schedule. So, I'm sorry, beating Vanderbilt to me isn't a real victory. But because they're in the SEC, they would get a lot more credit in the ratings and things like that. And I'm wondering if that doesn't happen a little bit to the Big Ten. Adding some of those big name schools like that, I think it really gives them a leg up, even if they don't play the world's hardest schedule. Because you're going to say, well, yeah, but they're playing a Big Ten schedule. So, I think this kind of hurts some of the folks in the Big 12. I think it hurts some of the folks in the smaller conferences, and it makes it even more difficult for them to get credibility unless they're willing to go on the road and go play teams in the Big Ten or the SEC.
Yeah, I mean the Big Ten, SEC are just absolutely fucking loaded.
Yeah.
I myself, I'm interested to see what Dylan Gabriel does at Oregon. That offense should be absolutely fucking electric this season. I want to see what he does versus some real competition outside of the Pac-12. Just like with Oklahoma. I mean, we've seen in years past Oklahoma make bowl games, college football playoff. Similar situation like we've seen with Notre Dame. These schools make it on the big stage and then just get absolutely fucking steamrolled by the competition. I'm curious to see what happens with Oklahoma now playing the likes of Georgia's, Bama's, Missouri's, Texas, and whatnot. So I'm excited to see what happens with Oklahoma in that setting.
You East Coast boys, do you think this dings up the ACC a little bit? I mean, they didn't add anybody really big to the conference. So, does it like they get lessened just because they didn't?
100. I agree 100%. Yep. With the Big Ten, with the teams they got and the SEC, I definitely think that the ACC kind of went backwards a little bit with this realignment. 100%.
Okay. The ACC is not really a football conference anymore. No. You know what I mean? Like there's no one in that conference that scares anyone.
No.
Clemson. I mean, look at Clemson. Clemson's been the blue blood, them in Florida State of the SEC for years now. But I think there's a real chance Georgia just beats the fucking brakes off Clemson next weekend.
Yeah, that line has cheese written all over it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, like, no one in the ACC scares me. I've always considered the ACC a basketball conference. It's never really been a football conference for me. But Buffy, what are you most excited about with the changes coming with the changes this season with the Big Ten and the SEC?
Yeah, the Big Ten is the one for me. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Washington and USC and UCLA, playing against those teams out west who, for many, many years, didn't get a lot of respect and a lot of the love that, they've gotten over the last couple of years. And now they kind of spread that conference out and they put those three, pretty quality teams inside the Big Ten. Now they're going to have to play teams like Michigan, Ohio State, Nebraska, Iowa. So I'm interested to see how, Washington, they got, like you said, you mentioned, some of the other teams that are moving over to the SEC. I'm interested in the Big Ten. I'm going to keep my eyes on it this year. I think, Washington and USC, I think they could be successful in the Big Ten. They got explosive offenses, but they're going to have to obviously work on their defense.
I think USC is really going to struggle in certain areas in the Big Ten, just because of the weather. They haven't had to play at Michigan. They haven't had to play at Ohio State when it's freaking
5 degrees and snowing.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's a good point. And another thing we might want to think about too is the travel coming from all the way out west to go all the way to the East Coast.
Yeah.
If they play a noon game, technically, really, that's 9 a.m. for them.
I'd have to look it up. I don't know the record. I'm sure Kmart does, but I don't know what if USC has to go to Notre Dame because they play Notre Dame every year. How do they do in South Bend in November and December? I'm guessing not well.
No, they haven't. I don't think so.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's run through a couple of conferences. I know we just talked about the realignment a little bit. Real quick, off the top of your head, Buffy, who wins the Big Ten this year?
Probably Ohio State. I think Ohio State's going to be really good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's Ohio State's conference to lose. I'm mostly excited to see what Oregon does. I think Dylan Gabriel is 34 years old on his 12th season in college football. I'm excited to see what Oregon does also. I think Washington, USC, UCLA, I think these teams struggle here playing with the big boys. But yeah, I agree. I think it's Ohio State's conference to lose. I could actually see them running the table. Chase, what do you think?
Joey brings up, just before you go over there, Joey brings up a good point. Sprinkling on Gabriel to win the Heisman, it might be worth a little bit.
Chase, what do you think?
Ohio State, to me, I think they were one of the biggest winners of the transfer portal this year. I mean, behind a good offensive line, I think the only thing I don't like about Ohio State is I'm not a big fan of Ryan Day. I don't love his X's and O's. I think he's basically just kind of riding the coattails of the Ohio State recruiting machine, but it's a damn good recruiting machine. Adding Quinshon Judkins in the backfield is a big get. They now have 2 really good running backs. So I think that takes a lot of the pressure off the quarterback situation. I don't think they're going to have to throw it a lot. And adding Will Howard's a big deal, man. That's a good quarterback. So I think they're going to be a lot better than they were last year. And they were still pretty damn competitive last year because of that defense. So I think that's a tough out for anyone. And I would have to definitely make them the favorite to win the Big Ten.
What nobody's mentioned is how absolutely fucking loaded their defense is.
Their defense was sick last year too.
I was just going to say they were really good,
and they've only gotten better on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what about the SEC, Buffy? Who are you looking at in the SEC?
Oh, it's Georgia or nothing for me. I think Georgia's going to be really good. I think that quarterback that they have is going to be a front runner. He's going to be a front runner for the Heisman too. Look at that handsome guy. Yeah, I think. I think Georgia is mad about what happened last year, and I think they're going to take it out on some teams on their way all the way to the 12-man playoff, and then from there we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Georgia this year. I think they're going to be really solid.
Chase, who do you got coming out of the SEC this year?
I wouldn't want to bet against Georgia, but if I was going to, let's get on the Lane train, baby. I think Ole Miss is good. I think Lane Kiffin is the most underrated coach in college football at this point in time. I've been saying for a long time, my own little personal vendetta. Don't know what I have to do to get the Dallas Cowboys to hire him. They have the worst play calling in the history of the fucking NFL. And if they had a guy like Lane Kiffin with that talent, they would be good. The only concern with him is they don't really usually put together much on defense. I think they're maybe a little better this year than they have been in the past, but offensively, they're going to put up a shitload of points with Jackson Dart.
Well, it brings me back to my tweet from a couple months back. I jumped on Ole Miss before it was popular and before it was cool to like them. I gave them out back in May, over 9.5. Also played over 10 wins. Also played them plus 1,800 to win the Natty. Also played Jackson Dart to win the Heisman. They are my college football team this year. And for those of you that don't remember, I came on this show week 1 last season, had lots of good things to say about a Florida State team that everyone was down on. And Florida State, led by Jordan Travis, ran off 13 wins, did not lose, and got absolutely fucked out of the playoff.
Yep.
Smacked every season win total bet I had on Florida State last year. And this year we took it to the SEC and we played Lane Kiffin and the Old Miss. So yeah, I think Jackson Dart with Juice Wells, Jordan Watkins, and Trey Harris outside. I think this team scores at will all season long.
One thing I'd want to point out with the SEC too, without Nick Saban at Alabama, I think you're going to get a little bit of a regression there. I don't think they're as good as they have been. They're going to be decent for a bit because they're relying on the recruiting classes, but just with the way that the transfer portal and everything has worked and players being able to move around, I'm interested to see if Alabama gets off to a bad start, how many of those players are looking to jump ship. I mean, they did this to Georgia Tech a few years ago with Jahmyr Gibbs. He played about 6 games and then just sat the rest of the year so he could transfer to Alabama. I think I could see it going the other way a little bit if they just don't look like the same brand that they were under Nick Saban. I could see some of these big name players sitting out and wanting to go to Georgia.
the ones that haven't already left when Nick left.
Right.
I agree. Hazmat suit. Good morning, buddy. Good morning. Nice of you to join us late as always every week. We talk about this 2 weeks in advance. Still can't be here on time. What else is new? Good morning, buddy.
Morning.
It's only 8
We talked a little bit. We talked a little bit about the Big Ten and the SEC realignment in college football. Any takes from you on that?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be weird as growing up as a SoCal guy with that, Pac-10 and then the Pac-12, and to see them, having games over there like Buff saying, you're traveling to Michigan, Ohio State, all the way to Pennsylvania, all that stuff is definitely going to be an adjustment. But it's going to be cool because maybe, we're going to have more games when we wake up 9 a.m. and we got those teams playing over there in the East. It's going to be cool instead of waiting until 7 p.m. and stuff like that. So it'll be fun. But don't forget about my boy Lenoris Sellers on the Cox. He's going to lead them to some wins.
Yeah, I agree. Probably leads them to 3 wins.
I feel like me and Duke need a moment of silence for the Pac-12 after dark being dead.
Yeah.
Duke, do you have any before we move on a little bit, because I got one more topic I want to talk about. Do you have any opinion on who wins the Big Ten or the SEC this year?
Sorry, you broke up a little bit. What was it?
Do you have any opinion on who wins the Big Ten or the SEC this year? Obviously, I rode Ole Miss.
Right.
We talked about that months back, but any opinion from yourself?
I agree with you guys on Ohio State's going to be a tough out for all of them with that D, and if they get better on both sides of the ball, it's going to be tough. In Michigan, I don't know about you guys. I think Michigan's going to be a little down, especially obviously from last year. Hard to repeat what they did, losing their coach. So yeah, but I'm going to get out of here in a couple minutes. But I think it's beautiful that there's a lot of people on FSU. Even Dan, his first play of text me last night, FSU first half in game, please. Chaz just sent us to the group that it's a whale nuke for Trent. There's a lot of things going right for G Tech on the pond. So take that for what it's worth. My dogs.
All right. Yeah. I mean, well, might as well get at it. I mean, we got a small slate today. We only got 4 games. Let's start with the big one across the pond in Dublin, Ireland. We will start with Mr. Irish himself, Jeffrey Buffum. We got Georgia Tech, FSU. FSU opened as 14-point faves and is down to 10.5. Any opinion there on the side or total?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Both offenses can move the ball. Even Georgia Tech with King and the running back that they have, I think they're going to be able to put up 17, 20 points somewhere in that area against Florida State, even though, Florida State's defense is pretty good. I put out over 55.5 on Monday or Tuesday. It's still sitting right there. So you can get that number, 55.5. I think it's high 50s, low 60s this game. Florida State should not have any trouble moving the ball and putting points up as well. I'm not impressed with neither defense. I mean, I know Florida State's pretty good up front against the run, but King is better than what people think he is. He can make plays with his legs. He's decent at passing. So I thought there was some value at 55.5. I had this line more towards 59. So yeah, I'm on the over in Florida State and Georgia Tech.
Nice. Duke, before you run. No, guy's too busy for us. Shows up late.
There he is.
Let's get your opinion on Georgia Tech FSU before you get out of here.
Oh, that's what I was just mentioning. I got a couple fade guys on FSU, and it's a double-digit dog. What's Hazmat going to do? I like the Buffs read on the over, and I might have to ride that, see if we can get a bunch of points on the first game. I know last Buff, were we with you last? Was it week 1 or week 0 last when we were over there in Boston?
We were the Dodgers game. Yeah, I think that was week 1.
Yeah.
Dodger. Yeah, we were at Dodgers Red Sox. We
Can't
watched.
believe that was a year ago, man.
Yep.
Real.
Yeah. Fade you will have to invade Boston again pretty soon.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, if you sneak out while we're still on, it's nice seeing you.
Peace, boys.
Hopefully next week with a week's notice, you're not late. Thanks. Love you.
Sorry. Hey, my
Cash-
sister came
cash
last
them
night.
tickets,
We had
Duke.
I cooked for her. We're having a good time. I got to take care of the family, and I'll be here. Love you guys.
Love you, man. Yeah, good seeing you, brother.
Chase,
Hey, dude.
where are you going in this Florida State Georgia Tech game?
I like Georgia Tech, but it's almost like I don't know. I don't like the X's and O's as well as Buff does. I just simply look at it. Georgia Tech's going to run triple option. That's what they do. And so because of that, the clock's going to keep churning. Anytime you're talking double-digit home dog, unless it's going to be a track meet, it's difficult for me to think that this is not going to be a relatively tight game. I think it's going to be difficult for Florida State to pull away. Last year I would have said a totally different story because that defense was legit. I don't think they're as stout this year. And I'm like you guys, I think there's going to be the ability to score points fairly easily. To me, that just means I think this is a touchdown game, one way or the other. I mean, you could make the case that either team is going to win, but I think it's a touchdown game.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, I'll get into my little breakdown here. So the fade you guys know because I texted in the group, whatever, 2 weeks ago. So I played Georgia Tech at plus 13.5. I missed the 14. I don't know, it was 2 weeks ago, probably I played it. I did come back again this morning and play more on Georgia Tech at plus 10.5 in order to give it out on the show. It is my best bet for week 0. Brent Key coming in year number 2 here at Georgia Tech. Yellow Jackets are returning 16 starters for this team, 8 on offense, 8 on defense. Haynes King, one of only 2 players last season to throw for over 2,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, 700 rushing yards, and have 10 rushing touchdowns. The only other player to do it was Heisman winner Jaden Daniels. This team returns 4 of 5 offensive starters on the offensive line. I see this offense clicking. I know Florida State's defense is good. It is week 0. They haven't played yet. I give a massive edge to this Georgia State offense here. Running back Jamal Haynes returns off a 1,000-yard season last year. They average, I think they're like top 5 in the country in rushing last year. I believe they led the ACC like 220 yards per game on the ground. This is a Georgia Tech team that I think today, I hate to say it on camera, but man, I think this Georgia Tech team could win this game today. I would not be surprised. DJ is an absolute fucking bum. He sucked at fucking Clemson. He was trash at Oregon State. This is his 3rd offense in 3 seasons. Haven't been impressed with him anywhere yet. DJ is just absolutely fucking garbage. This Florida State team only returns 10 starters, 6 on defense, 4 on offense. They lost their playmakers on the outside. They lost Jordan Travis. This team is a shell of themselves. Although I do expect their defense to be good, I do not expect it to be good week 1.
Is this one of those Georgia Tech minus 6.5 alt lines or no?
No, not at all. Not at all. I took the points. All I was saying, Buffy, is I would not be surprised to see them win this game. All I've heard for 2 weeks is how bad their defense is, how bad they were. Cool. Guess what? They bring in Tyler Sanucci from Duke, who led the scoring defense in the ACC last year at 19 points per game. You cannot possibly tell me he does not turn this Georgia Tech defense around even a little bit. any improvement is better than none. I think Georgia Tech hangs close, and in the fourth quarter in the trenches, I expect them to have a real shot to win this game. So official play, Georgia Tech plus 10.5 for 1 unit.
Yeah, I agree.
The thing for me is I've got two things. One, it's Dr. DJ to you, because when you've been in college this long, you should be a damn doctor. And number two, I wish I would have been able to hit it harder. Unfortunately, I missed. I didn't see it at 13.5. I saw it at 12.5 when I kind of picked it out that was what I liked, and I didn't fire. And so now I have line regret, and I don't want to play it as heavy. I put a small amount on 10.5, but I'm pissed I don't have 12.5.
Chase, my good friend Thomas Keenan, also on Twitter, known as Saratoga Tommy, aka Big Barb, aka Barb, wants to know what's on the whiteboard above your right shoulder.
Mixture of work stuff and football stuff.
All right, well, that should be all work stuff then.
Yeah, it's mixture of work stuff and football stuff.
Those are the nukes, baby.
Yeah, no, I go through the NFL schedule every year on win totals.
Another thing Joey didn't mention that I think is kind of important too is Florida State's missing their offensive coordinator today. I think he's suspended. So.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah, he got suspended for something.
Real quick, I just want to say I think Georgia Tech wins this game. That's it. I just got excited for some reason. That's why I throw it out there again.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Buffy, I know there are 4 games on the slate. We're not going to get into the Montana State game and the Hawaii game because I know none of us really have a strong opinion. I don't want to waste time on it. But I do know Mr. VIP, Jeffrey Buffy himself, is going to bless us with a play in the SMU game. Jeff, let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm all over SMU. I put this out on Monday when it was 24.5. We beat the push. I think it's up to minus 27.5 now. I'd still take that too. I think SMU absolutely blows the brakes off Nevada. This is a really bad team. They only won 2 games last year. I think that they're going to be lucky to even win 2 games this year. They got a lot of new personnel. They lost a ton of people. SMU, I mean, what more do you need to say about them? They were awesome last year. They brought back 9 starters on offense. Preston Stone and the 2 wide receivers that they have put up huge numbers last year. They got tons of continuity with that offense. I think they're going to be a contender to make the playoffs. They're going to be a contender to be right up there in the ACC. This is a team that can really do some damage. A lot of people don't realize it. Their defense was ranked in the top 20. Their defense is really good too. So they are trying to make a statement. They got to do some big things to get inside the top 12 for the playoff. I think they're going to start off strong. They're going to make a big statement. I don't think Nevada has any answer at all for this offense. They should score often and they should score a lot. It wouldn't surprise me if SMU wins this game by 40. So I'm all over SMU. I got him. Like I said, we took them early in the week, 24.5. We beat the push. I still think even right now, the number's fine. They're going to win by 30 plus. So I'm all over it.
I think I saw, obviously, granted a different team, but I think it was SMU I saw play in the Fenway Bowl this past season in the bowl game at Fenway versus BC. Yeah, I mean, this SMU team should be pretty good. Anything else on college football before I give out my pick for the Travelers Stakes at Saratoga today? I have a horse that I have some money on. Anyone else have anything on college football before we wrap it up?
No, sir.
Only thing I'm looking at is I'm kind of like looking at some of the stuff that you were talking about early in the season with Ole Miss. So I was wondering, would you look at Ole Miss as a team, or if you are assuming Ole Miss is going to be good, would you look at Jackson Dart for Heisman?
So I look at all of it. I mean, I think if this Ole Miss team goes 11-1, or like let's say they escape Georgia and they run the table this year, you cannot tell me Jackson Dart isn't the favorite to win the Heisman.
That's kind of my point. So instead of looking at him, I think the odds are better for Jackson Dart at Heisman than they are for Ole Miss to win the SEC or even, make the college football playoff or anything like that.
I tweeted at Brad Powers about a month back and asked him what he made the line for Ole Miss at home versus Georgia. What do you guys think it? What do you guys think he makes it?
Probably Georgia by 6.
I was going to say 7.5.
Yeah, he makes it Georgia minus 6.5, I think is what he said. If I see Ole Miss anywhere near a touchdown, it obviously some things can change between now and then, but that might just end up being the absolute largest fucking wager of my life on Ole Miss. I think they could win the SEC this year. I think they are the best team in the country. So, yeah. So we will talk more about Ole Miss in the weeks to come. Let me get to the Travers Stakes at Saratoga in upstate New York today. Race 13. Our good friend on YouTube and in real life, my friend Saratoga Tommy, a.k.a. Barb, is looking at Sierra Leone, Corporate Power, Batten Down, and Honor Marie in a exacta box, I believe, those 4 horses. But for me, Joey Cheese, I played the 4 Corporate Power at 15-1. McGahee's horse with JJ Castellano riding. I think everyone looks at this horse's last couple races. His class isn't what we expect in a field like this with some horses that have run some of the bigger races on the year. But I think everyone overlooks this horse here. And I think JJ could pick up the pieces on what I expect to be a pretty fast pace. And I think we get Corporate Power to the wire for the dub here at 15-1. So that's Cheese's pick on the Travers Stakes at Saratoga today. I have posted probably 4 or 5 horse picks on this channel this season. We did have the winner of, was it the Belmont Stakes? I don't know. We had Dornock. We had Dornock at 18-1 earlier this summer. So Cheese does pick some winners with the ponies also. But as far as the 4 idiots go, we will be back next Saturday for week 1 for a full slate of college football. And Fade You, 4 Idiots NFL show will start the week of week 1. And we will have some special guests throughout the year on our shows. Our friend Jeffrey Buffum was nice enough to join us today. So, yeah, for Chase McLongball, Kmart, who is sick today, Duke Hazmat Suit, who's late to fucking everything, and your boy Joey Cheese, we will be back next week, and we will see y'all then. So
Good luck. Let's cash some tickets.
Let's get some winners.